Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So Trump continues with his losing streak in court. I have to say, it's just so delicious. It really is. A few days ago, I shared with you how a judge gave Trump's clown car of attorneys basically a written lashing and kicked their ridiculous third complaint in his court out of court in Pennsylvania, where they were trying to prevent the state from certifying the vote count. Well, then on Wednesday, they brought it before a federal appeals court, and that court agreed to review and consider their case. Well, now that court, the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, has also issued a smackdown saying that Trump's legal argument has, quote, no merit. What makes this rebuke sting even more, though, is that the judge who wrote the opinion, a judge named Stefanos Bibas, I believe is how you pronounce it, he was appointed by Trump himself. In fact, on this 3-judge panel, all 3 of the judges on this appeals panel were appointed by Republicans. And it was a unanimous decision. All 3 of them said, oh, hell no. Actually, here's a video of what they had to say to Trump and his legal eagles. You need to let it go. You need to let it go. Need to let it go. No. You didn't know that Meghan Trainor was a judge, did you? Ha! Okay, so no. Here's what they really said. Judge Bibas wrote, quote, voters, not lawyers, choose the president. Ballots, not briefs, decide elections. Charges of unfairness are serious, but calling an election unfair does not make it so. Charges require specific allegations and then proof. We have neither here. So apparently he felt the need to point this out. That's how pathetic it is. And remember, his attorney, his lead attorney, is Rudy Giuliani. And he has to tell him, oh, hey, heads up, you kind of need proof when you come into the court. And you have to have specific allegations. It can't just be like broad, vague accusations with nothing to back it up, nothing to substantiate it with. This is such a clown show. This is so embarrassing. He also basically did tell them that they need to let it go. You need to let it go, saying, quote, the campaign cannot win this lawsuit. No federal law requires poll watchers or specifies where they must live or how close they may stand when votes are counted. Nor does federal law govern whether to count ballots with minor state law defects or let those voters cure those defects. So remember, what they're alleging here, of course, they're saying, oh, we weren't allowed to stand close enough. Okay, whatever. They were there. And remember, the people counting the votes themselves were not only Democrats, but Republicans too. But their main complaint here is that they're saying there were 2 Republican voters who were not given the opportunity to fix errors on their ballots. So other people in other areas of the state were allowed to come in and cure their ballots. So if they had an error, like the middle initial was missing or whatever, some places allowed voters to come in and cure those ballots and fix those errors. These 2 Republican men say we weren't allowed to do that. Nobody contacted us to come in and do that. This is in a state where Biden won by more than 80,000 votes, though. So even if the courts allowed those 2 ballots to be counted, it changes nothing. It doesn't change the outcome of the election, which is why they're trying to get all votes thrown out in this county or in this area. This is why it's so absurd. But like I said, it's so great that this judge was appointed by Trump, because their argument had been, with the previous judge that ruled against them and kicked it out of the court. Oh, he was appointed by Obama. They never tell Trump's followers, and Trump's followers don't bother to go out and investigate or research on their own to find out that the guy was a Republican, that the judge that Obama appointed was chosen by a Republican, and the judge himself is a Republican. And oh yeah, he's a member of one of the most conservative, regressive groups in the country. Their argument was laughable anyway, but now this judge is just proof positive. All three of the judges on this panel are just proof positive that they have no evidence. So in my opinion, the most important thing that Bibas said in his opinion was that Trump's team, quote, never claims fraud or that any votes were cast by illegal voters. And in regard to this text, he specifically cited Rudy Giuliani's own words in court where he admitted to the judge that this was, quote, not a fraud case. But nevertheless, Trump tweeted out today that Biden can only enter the White House as president if he can prove that his ridiculous 80 million votes were not fraudulently or illegally obtained. When you see what happened in Detroit, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee, massive voter fraud, he's got a big unsolvable problem. No, unstable moron. That's not how elections or legal challenges work. Sounds like Trump is the one with a big unsolvable problem. Apparently, no one has informed the binky-sucking toddler that he is the one who must present evidence and prove that there was voter fraud. It's kind of like any other case on the planet that goes to court. You're accusing someone, that person is innocent until proven guilty. That's the way it works. Here's the thing, though. There's still millions of Americans, vast swaths of the American public who are buying into this bullshit. They seriously believe every single thing that Trump is telling them. They use zero common sense, do zero research. My question to them is, if Trump is telling the truth, why have over 30 cases either failed in court and been kicked out by the judges, or they were withdrawn? If there's evidence of voter fraud or evidence that more people voted than the number of registered voters in a specific area, which is what part of what they're alleging, why isn't that evidence being provided to the judges? Why isn't it being given to the court to review? And why won't they say that it's a fraud case in court? Why don't they include the word fraud and the evidence of that fraud in their briefs that they submit to the court? Anyone can walk into court and make an allegation. Anyone can file a lawsuit. Trump supporters say that all the time, right? When it comes to the, almost 50 sexual assault allegations against Trump? Oh, that's fake news. I have had so many Trump supporters tell me that's fake, and if she's telling the truth, she can go to court and prove it. Well, first of all, unlike voter fraud, there's not usually evidence when a man walks up and grabs you by the crotch or grabs your breasts or tries to rape you. You know why? Because it usually happens when you're alone with him. So how the hell do you expect these women to prove it? But second, let's use their logic. Trump claims that there's voter fraud and cheating in the election, but he hasn't been able to provide evidence and proof and prove it in court. So it must be fake. It must be fake news because he hasn't been able yet to prove any of these allegations in a court of law. If that reasoning works in regard to sexual assault, all his 50 allegations of sexual assault, then it must apply to these cases as well. It must all be fake news. I am not going to believe it till he proves it in court. I mean, I guess either these people have to come to the realization that obviously if he had evidence, he would present it. And since he hasn't, it must be bullshit. Unless, of course, they're hypocrites who use one standard to judge things that they don't want to believe and another standard to judge Trump's bogus allegations. Could that be it? Maybe. Could they maybe be a little bit hypocritical, believing only what they want to believe? Nah. Silly wabbits. All right. So anyway, guys, as always, like, share, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching and listening. I will talk with you soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.